Let's talk about predicate uses real quickly. And we'll distinguish how Hebrew handles this compared to the attributive uses, and then we'll look at chaining adjectives together. Okay, so with our predicate use of the adjective, here's the thing. I have to know whether the subject noun is definite or not, okay? So really there's two considerations. If the subject is definite, okay, then the predicate adjective agrees only in gender and number with the subject noun. That is to say, if the subject noun is definite, it's going to have the article. The predicate adjective will agree in only two of those three ways that the attributive adjective agrees. It won't agree in definiteness. If, on the other hand, the subject is indefinite, that is to say, no article, then the predicate adjective agrees in gender and number, and it just so happens that it will agree in definiteness as well, but there's not going to be a mismatch, okay? So we see the mismatch when the subject's definite. So this might be a bit confusing right now, but let me just give you some examples and it will become abundantly clear. All right, let's say I have an expression like Tov Hasus. And that is a full sentence. Tov Hasus. Do I have an adjective here? One of these is an adjective? Yes. There it is, Tov. First thing I have to ask myself is about placement. Is the adjective after the noun in this case? No. So would I ever, even in my wildest dreams, imagine that this adjective is an attributive adjective? No, because attributive adjectives always go where in relation to the noun they modify? They have to go after. So if I ever have an adjective next to a noun, and it agrees in gender and number with the noun, but the adjective is in front of it, it cannot be an attributive adjective. So my only choice there is it must be the predicate use. Okay? But let's look at these other things. What gender and number is Tov? Masculine and singular. Right. What gender and number is Sus? Masculine and singular. Is Sus definite? Yes. Is Tov definite? No. I have a mismatch, don't I? So, I have a very good candidate for predicate use of the adjective here, and that means that whatever the subject noun is that's definite, that's what is whatever the predicate adjective's quality is. How am I going to translate this? The horse. Oops. There. The horse is good. Okay? The horse is good. I need a copular verb in English. The horse is good. I could translate this as good is the horse. Okay? But still, even when I have it in that order, my subject is still the horse. And good is still my predicate adjective. All right? Happy are, the ones who follow the Lord. Right? I could rephrase that as the ones who follow the Lord are happy. The subject is the ones who follow the Lord. Happy is the predicate. Okay? So, there I have Tov Hasus. Tov Hasus. What if I had Hasus, Tov, in Hebrew? Now, my adjective follows the noun Hasus, doesn't it? Is it an attributive adjective, therefore? No, because there are two things that must happen with an attributive adjective. They do have to follow the noun, but they also have to agree in what ways? Gender, number, definiteness, right? Do they match gender? Do they match number? Yes, yes. Do they match definiteness? No. Jesus is definite, Tov is not. So what kind of adjective is this? It is a predicate use of the adjective. How am I going to translate it? I'm going to translate it the same way as I did this. The horse is good. Jesus Tov. Remember, me Tarzan, you Jane. The horse good. Means the horse is good. Now, if I add the article right here, that changes everything, doesn't it? Jesus Hatov. Now it's not a predicate use, but an attributive use. And how would I translate that? The good horse. Remember, attributive adjectives tell you what kind of noun. The good horse, that kind. Okay? So be very careful here. Placement matters. And the article matters.
In this case, could we also say that that really isn't the full sentence?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that is an important key here. When you have, see, the reason this is confusing as Hebrew is because Hebrew is omitting the verb to be. So you're not sure, is this a whole phrase or is it actually a sentence and the verb is actually missing? In a predicate adjective, you have a whole clause, right? You have an assertion being made about something. And so it's a complete clause, a complete idea. On the other hand, if we go over here to these expressions, right? Eretz Gedolah is a big land. That's not an assertion, is it? I'm looking for the rest of the sentence and the verb and all of that, right? But if you've got a copular construction with a predicate adjective, then you don't really need more to it. It's a complete sentence there. All right? So that's a very, very good point. We do have one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is that after indefinite in the second rule that you wrote up top?
Indefinite, no article. If there's no article on the subject noun. And that's what I'm going to look at right now with you, okay? So in both of these sentences that we've looked at, the subject noun, okay, so Jesus is my subject and it's a noun. Jesus over here is a noun, it's a subject. The noun has the article, right? So here it's fairly easy to determine whether or not this is a predicate adjective or not, and in fact it is. But now I might have a situation where my subject is not definite. And the example here could be something like this. Gadol Ish. Now, if I have the verse ender, verse divider, the sof pasuk here, then I know this has to be a complete sentence, right? It has to be a complete clause, a complete idea, because this is the end of the sentence. Gadol is a noun or an adjective. What do I have here? I've got an adjective. Ish is a noun. Okay? Now, what gender and number is Gadol? Masculine singular. Ish is also masculine singular. Notice neither of them have the article, right? No article. So if I have a noun and an adjective side by side, and they agree in gender, number, and definiteness, in this case not definite, my instinct is to go, oh, that might be an attributive adjective. Is there anything about this expression that would trigger something in my gut to say I cannot take that adjective to be an attributive adjective. The order, exactly. Where do attributive adjectives always go? They always go after the noun. Okay? So, hint, attributive after. Those both start with what? An A. Okay? If it's an attributive adjective, it has to go after. Okay, so I can't take this as an attributive adjective. It must be predicate use then. And why do I not have a mismatch of the article like I did here? Well, it's because my subject noun is not definite, right? In these other cases, it's been the horse is good. But here, it's not the man is good, but rather what? A man is good. Right? Or good is a man. A man is good.
Big. Great.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm still thinking about Tove here, but you're right. This is not good. All right. So a man is great, or great is a man. All right? Is there a question here?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So in animated Hebrew, he said that attributive normally follows the noun, but you're saying always?
Always. Always.
Okay, so scratch normally and say put always?
Yes, attributives always follow the noun. I would be surprised if he said that. I wonder if maybe he was talking about predicate ones, and you might have thought he said attributives. But
I even took a screenshot. He definitely said normally.
He did, huh? Okay. Well,
He wrote it and said it.
I would dispute that.
Yeah, he wrote it and said it.
Yeah. Okay. No, your attributive adjectives are going to go after the noun they modify. Now, on the other hand, let's reverse the order. So let's take ish gadol. All right. So same two words. Nouns first, adjective is second. Okay. They agree in gender number, masculine singular. They agree in definiteness, right? They are both not definite. And the adjective follows the noun, doesn't it? Could this be an attributive adjective? It could.
Yes.
It could. So choice number one, ding, 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 attributive. And if it is, then I'm going to translate it. My number one over here matches the number one with attributive. How would I translate it? A great man. Okay, what kind of man, right? Attributives tell you what kind of noun you're dealing with. What's my other possibility? It could be a predicate use as well. How so? Well, if this is the subject noun, and this is a complete idea, a complete clause, my noun just happens to be indefinite. There's no article. And so, normally, if the noun's definite, I'm going to have a mismatch of definiteness. But if the noun is indefinite, they're both going to be indefinite. And I'm going to translate this as a man is great. Okay? So those are both possibilities when the subject noun is not definite. Or when the noun is not definite. Then you're not sure. Is that a subject noun in a copular construction? Or is this my noun phrase and is there some other part of the sentence? Right. Now here, if I told you these two words are the only two words in the sentence, then the choice is clear. It's a predicate use of the adjective because I have to be able to make a complete sentence with this. Right? All right, good. So that's how your predicate adjectives will look. Now, let's just make a little sidebar here and just talk about chaining adjectives together. Okay? Chaining adjectives. That is to say, what if I'm really flowery and I don't want to just talk about a good man? I want to talk about a good, noble, and righteous man, or something like that. Okay? How do I do that in Hebrew? It's actually quite simple. Let me give an example here. Let's do ha'ish. What's that mean? The man. Hatov. The. Ha. Zakein. What does zakein mean? Old. Yes, old. Okay, so is ish the noun? And I have the adjective tov, the adjective zakein. What gender number is ish? Masculine singular. Tov is masculine singular. Zakein is masculine singular. Do they all share the article? Yes. So they are all three definite. And do the adjectives follow the noun? They do. Okay? So these are definitely attributive adjectives, right? And in English, I'm going to put my attributive adjectives where? Yeah, I'm going to put them before the noun, right? The blank and blank man. Because this is what kind of man I'm talking about. In Hebrew, of course, they have to go after the noun. So we have to reorder it in our English sentence. What I want you to see here is that I can put an attributive adjective after ha'ish, ha'ish hatov. How would you translate just ha'ish hatov? The good man, right? The man, the good. But if I want to add another adjective, second adjective goes after the first one, and I just add the conjunction vav to it. Okay? So hatov v'hazakein, it's the man, the good, and the old, which would mean the good and old man. Okay? The good and old man. You see how that works? So if you want to add stack adjectives, just add the conjunction vav and stick another adjective after the vav. Okay? But the form of the adjective has to follow the rules based on whether it's an attributive adjective or not. Okay? So, that is the good and old man. What if I want to say the man is good and old? How would I do that in Hebrew? Well, the word man has to have the article, right? I'm going to have ha'ish. But will the predicate adjectives have the article? No. Yeah, they can't, can they? The predicate adjective never has the article on it, if you haven't noticed. Predicate adjectives never have the article. Okay? So, what am I going to do here? Let's erase this. And if we're going to say this over here, we're going to modify our sentence to make it the man is good and old. What do I have to omit here? I got to get rid of the articles. Do I want to keep my conjunction vav? Yes, I do, right? Because I still want to be able to say that he's old and good and old, right? So we're going to put the here. Notice that they're both masculine singular like ha'ish, but ha'ish has the article. The predicate adjectives now are lacking the article, right? Ha'ish, tov, v'zakein. Oh, and then of course my my doggish forte in the Zion's got to go away because I don't have the article on it anymore. And my doggish forte on the top, the tape goes away because I don't have an article on it. Okay? So this now says the man is good and old. Ha'ish tov v'zaken. Okay? I'm supplying is as my copula, since this is a predicate use of this compound adjective structure. So I've written it with the predicate adjectives in front. This means the same thing as what I have right above now. Good and old is the man, or the man is good and old. And because the adjectives here are in front of the noun, there's no possible way we could mistake that for an attributive adjective. Set. Because attributives always have to go behind or after the noun. Is that all clear? As mud?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's look at the third use, which is the substantival. And I told you that in effect a substantival adjective is an attributive adjective that just happens to be lacking a noun to agree with in gender, number, and definiteness, because it lacks the noun because the adjective is the noun. The adjective is functioning the way a noun would. So in Hebrew, so you'll just jot this down. So the adjective behaves like a noun. So let's say we have a sentence like halach hatov ba Derek. Remember what Derek means? Yes, this is the word way or path. Okay. All right. So halach means what? Yes, he walked. Good. Now, I use he unless I have an explicit, overt subject. Do I have a subject here? That's a good question. I don't have a noun, do I? But I have an adjective. And this adjective is masculine and singular and definite, by the way. But there's no corresponding noun that matches it that is masculine and singular and definite. Okay? I have a prepositional phrase over here. That's a different kind of structure. On the way or on the path. So what do I do with this? Here's an adjective that's masculine, singular, and definite. There's no noun that it matches. And this can't be a copular construction. My verb can't be is because I have an explicit action verb here, right? I'm not saying what something is. I'm saying what something did. Something or someone walked. So, here, the adjective is a substantival use. And what role does it play? It's the subject of this verb halach. How am I going to translate it? Well, I could say the good. The good walked on the path. But what does that sound like to you? Does that sound good? Does that sound right? No. It sounds weird, doesn't it?
It's
What
very indefinite.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're saying that the concept of goodness was walking, right? It's almost as if you're personifying goodness. That's not what's going on here. Okay? So in English, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to supply, when it's singular anyway, when the substantival use of the adjective is singular, we're going to have to supply a noun here to help us. And we have to supply an appropriate noun that takes stock of the gender and number of the substantival adjective. So here my substantival adjective is masculine and singular, right? So I might want to substitute or put over here the good man. Maybe the good boy. It depends on what I'm talking about. It may be the good one, where that one is a masculine singular one. Okay? How will I know which way to translate it? Well, your context. Your context is going to tell you everything you need to know. On the other hand, let's say all the words are the same, and instead of hatov, I have ha-to-va. How will you translate that substantival adjective? This will be the good, yes, and you'll either say woman, or maybe the good one, but it's a feminine singular one. Okay? What if you had, instead of ha-tova, let's say you had ha-tovim. Yeah, how would you translate that substantival adjective? The good men or the good ones. Since it's masculine plural, you got to make sure that whatever word you're using with good is plural. Okay? And if you had hatovot, then that would be the good what? The good women. The good women. Or the good ones. But we know the good ones are feminine. So here's a feature of Hebrew that is different from English. When you add an S to a word to make it plural in English, can you tell what gender that word is by looking at the S? No. No. In English, our plural ending only marks plurality, but it doesn't mark gender. In Hebrew, our plural endings always tell you two things, don't they? They always tell you gender and number. They over-specify things that we don't specify in our English grammar. But all that to say, you know a little bit more about that adjective than the English word good tells you, right? And so you can make appropriate allowances for that in your translation into English. So the good men, the good ones, and so forth.